guys, Jeremy here from menzagaming.net, bringing you our tournament review of the Menza Masquerade, which was just hosted on the 30th of April at the House of War. So we're a couple of days following this up. We really had a good time at the event. So Shawn, we've got a few questions for you as a TO.
Okay, I'm on the grill, I'm on the hot seat.
Yeah. So Caine and I have prepared some questions to ask Shawn to get a bit of a, I guess, just a summary of how the event went.
Well, first thing you're obviously always going to ask is, how was the event?
The event was good from a TO perspective, I guess. I mean, it was obviously the first one I've done, so didn't really know what to expect, but all the feedback I think has been pretty positive thus far. What did you guys think?
Yeah, as a player, I found it pretty good. Ran on time, well, good games, fun missions, good players, some nice hobby there, everything you'd expect from a tournament, which was definitely good.
Yeah, I thought the event ran smoothly. I mean, we're following on, it was only a couple of weeks after the hunt, and that was another event that ran really smoothly. And I'm not saying that other events in the past necessarily haven't. It just feels good to go to an event. Everything just kind of works.
I think the terminal plays a big part in that.
I have to say the terminal ran a lot smoother.
Takes a lot off your shoulders.
Yeah, a lot of the things from last time, like not problems, but more like human error was taken out. Like with the terminal.
Well, it makes the player more accountable. I mean, there were a few things where I realised after the event that there were a few scores that had been entered incorrectly, but the onus is on the people who entered those scores at that point.
Yeah, it was definitely like human error and not terminal error. So,
And it feels good to kind of, as we actually discussed last video, when you finish your game with somebody, it doesn't take very long to knock out those scores, and then you can just go and have a smoke or just chill.
Even better, you can do it while you're having a smoke.
And just chill, and you kind of know that even the TOs don't have to aren't worrying about it. You don't see, it's kind of a bit disconcerting when you look over a TO booth and see them with pile of papers there, really confused and anxious, and kind of makes you anxious because you don't know if they're stuffing up the scores.
It cuts down a lot of the time. Like the data entry, you physically don't have to do. The data entry is placed into the appropriate boxes and pretty much done. And if it's not done right, it gets flagged. So
it's good. It worked well. It took a lot off my shoulders. From a more holistic approach though for the event, like we got 40 players, obviously. That marks it. It's almost a GT in the ITC ranking of things. If we had had a fifth game, it would have been another multiplier there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is interesting, but we just know for next time that we got to meet more criteria, which I'm certain we will do in the future. But
well, I mean, four games in a day is like
four games in a day is a lot, obviously.
You struggle to do 5 in
absolutely.
Yep. So that leads on to the question that I'd prepared.
I was just going to say, before we go on, I think, as we said, the feedback we heard from the event was pretty overwhelming. We had a lot of support from the community. We've got obviously a lot of players there from various groups, which was really good. So I really appreciated the support that we saw for the event. Absolutely. And as you said, great player base. Like there was no dramas at all. No one had any problems with sports or anything like that. I haven't heard a single grumbling. So from that perspective, it's been pretty good. Yeah. So what are we going to ask?
Oh no, the question I prepared was what we're kind of talking about. How did you find the full game day? Obviously, not the 3 games.
Look, it's a bit different coming from the TO's perspective. I think that I thought it would be more relaxing than it was, but it was actually pretty hectic because there's a lot going on. I thought it was manageable. We ran pretty much on time. Like we may have had been forced to start slightly late, but we ran we started half an hour late. We finished half an hour late. Like we ran to the minute, which was really good. I think most players were able to get all their games and all their turns done. There are a few exceptions. There always are, but it was busy. But I don't think it was overwhelming for anyone.
Yeah. Every game that I had ended naturally, like it was on a dice roll and so forth.
What about yourself? Did you end all yours?
Pretty much. The first game we started a bit late. We were potting around, having a chat with Dirk. But other than that, everything went pretty naturally. It was good.
I mentally planned to wait 15 minutes after call round start, wait 15, 20 minutes, and then yell out to everyone, you should be started by now. I did that in the last couple of rounds because I find a lot of players do lose that half an hour at the start where you just meet someone, you go, you shake their hand, you're like, hey man, how's it going? What's your list? Oh, I like it. That's cool. Look at your painting. And people sometimes get caught up.
And sometimes you want to, and that's something that you could do.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you want to be able to have a 10-minute chat to your opponent.
Oh, absolutely.
And you kind of sometimes say it's towards the end of the not so much with Menza Masquerade because it was a friendly tournament, but if you're playing a really kind of you're playing one of your Terracons or your CanCons,
when there's 120, 150 players,
and you want it's the last game, and you really want to make sure it ends naturally. You feel like a bit of a douchebag if your opponent wants to have a chat. You feel like a douche, kind of saying, "Can we start?" But you know what I mean. So I think in some ways having that 10-minute grace period at the start to just meet your opponent, have a chat is a positive.
Well, you should definitely have it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a natural flow. It's like that's
Yeah.
how people like gravitate. So
Yeah, it just allows the game to be a bit more friendly and a bit more easygoing.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of, yeah. But
absolutely.
So Kane, how did you go with the next one?
okay, so the next one was.
Gosh, they have prepared questions for me.
Yeah, we have. So, were you happy with the turnout and the way it ran and performed as an event?
I think we sort of covered that in the first section. Yeah, like as I said, turnout was amazing. The response we got was really good. Really, there was a few people that came that then actually had to leave later on in the day, and like some people for some reason don't really like that. I don't know why. I just really appreciate the support from those people because like they know they can't win because they're going to leave, kind of thing, and it's like just the most genuine show of support you can actually get because they have nothing to gain from that event. They're literally just there.
They're just there to play some games.
Yeah, exactly.
I think playing the devil's advocate, you could say it's kind of like if the people that play, they're kind of like Gumby players in a way.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe some other people might feel that people that hit those Gumby players get an advantage because those players aren't playing to win; they're playing to with the intention of dropping out. That could be what the critics could say.
I don't think anyone that ever plays with that sort of intention that I've got something like a family do on something or other and I signed up and I'm urgently needing to go to this, but at the same time I want to play my first 2 rounds. I don't think at any point in the game they're like, screw it, I'm just going to play live or go.
Well, no, I disagree.
I think they're going to play their game. They're going to.
No, I disagree. Like, I think that they would actually be very relaxed about it because they know they're not going to podium. So they would probably be more likely to lose the early rounds and end up at the bottom of the field where there's no chance for people to springboard off them anyway. So I don't really think it makes a difference.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Like they definitely.
I guess there's like 2 sides to that coin.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I can't see anyone not trying to play a game. Like if they're going to win, they're definitely going to try and win at that point.
Right.
Like, and if they're losing, they're going to try and do what they need to do.
Sure.
But they're going to lose. Like.
Yeah. Another thing that's interesting though is like there's obviously disincentives with the RTC scoring systems for that sort of stuff because as we know, you get 3 bonus points for every win up until you lose. Under the RTC system. So
I don't think too many of us are very familiar. Obviously, you are familiar with it now because you've put those scores through into the score, so you're aware of all those bonuses. Do you want to kind of let people know?
Yeah, sure. So, it's a very basic system. It looks really complex at first. It took me a little while to get my head around it, but it's pretty simple. There's a points allocated for the top 8 players, and then once you go past the top 8, it then starts to scale down based on a percentage of the player base. So. For our event with 40 players, I think the first 8 got their points, and it starts off like 100, 90, 85, so on. Then you get down to your top 10% after the 8, which is like 3 players. This is like the next 10%. And being 3 players got like 55 points. Then the next like 4, I think it was, got like 50 points. I'm going off the top of my head, so I apologize.
So it's a pretty like what would you call it, like
curving?
Yeah, but it's not very steep. It seems like it's quite.
It's almost parabolic.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because it starts high and then it sort of scales down like that sort of thing. Like the bottom players all get 20 points minimum. But again, everyone still gets their bonus points if they win a round. So if you win your first round, you get 3 points. If you win your next round, you get another 3 points. And you keep getting that bonus until you lose a round. If you draw, you get 1 point. But
are you still in the streak?
You're still in the streak. You're still in the streak because you haven't lost. So the streak only stops when you lose a game. Okay. So it was interesting because we saw a player like Michael Hamilton, for example. He actually scored more bonus points than people who were above him, which was one player. Yeah, but it was interesting because he got like 12 bonus points because he won all his games.
Yeah.
And there are people who down the bottom that only got 20 points, but they won their first game. They got the 3. So yeah. Anyway.
All right, well that's good to bit of trivia, a bit of extra things to know to consider if you're interested in racking those points up. So I was going to follow up with the question of how much work went in behind the scenes. I know that you were doing list checking and things like that as a TO. Tell us about how much work went in.
A lot more than I anticipated. I'd done some list checking and sort of like post-event list checks for other events prior to this, right, through the community comp team. But this event blew me away in the amount of stuff I had to double check. I mean, we had a few irregularities with our system. Obviously, we're playing a small points game at 1350, but we weren't running the small points comp. So there's only a few people that made that mistake, and it's not even a mistake. There's only a few people that fell into that trap. But beyond that, there was just a whole plethora of like minor discrepancies, and they were always really, really small. Things like the most common error, people forgetting to mark who their warlord was, which is an easy one to do. I'm sure I've done in the past. Other ones included like optional war gear, like not specifying like power weapon on the librarian.
Yeah, high
A force weapon.
stuff like that.
Not all high missile pods. They have a points value. Do you know what I mean? Or they come as a base war
they
gear.
come like a broadside comes with the rail rifle and the high yield missile pod, and they're both a free exchange. But you would need to specify. And
If you exchange, if a player exchanges, I expect them to specify an exchange.
Yeah.
But where you have like a power weapon, because it's just like an ambiguous weapon from the get go.
Yeah.
I need a specification on whether you got a power axe or power
A lot
maul.
of people forget they've modelled it and they assume that that's going to be exactly what they see when they go table.
And in many environments that flies because WYSIWYG. A lot of people believe in that WYSIWYG thing, but I think that in a tournament setting where it's a bit more competitive, you need to have it stipulated on your list before the event.
What about things like legitimate points errors, entry errors?
Oh yeah, there was obviously not obviously, there was a lot more of those than I expected actually. So just very, very small things, people like miscalculating points on models and so forth, pieces of war gear not added up correctly. That was very common. I
myself was a culprit of also editing some of the boxes, the point values in the boxes on the community comp spreadsheet.
So that's an interesting thing to bring up. Thank you, Caine. The community comp spreadsheet, which was the ideal format for list submission, a lot of people for some reason feel the need to change those boxes. It's a mathematical system. Do you know what I mean? Like the numbers add up. If you just don't have to touch them. It was just strange to me. I was like, do these people? I don't understand. Anyway,
I think I had that happen. I think it's sometimes if you're entering stuff and the formula, you accidentally change the formula, and if you're not skilled enough at Excel to be able to recreate the formula, sometimes you're just like, stuff it, and you just do it in your head. I've done that, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's always odd scenarios where like someone will take say a unit of 7 Chaos Space Marines, right? But because there's that champion tax, there's no way for it to be easily equated into the unit cost.
You actually have to. The correct way I found to do that is you actually have to break down the unit and actually say one champion, 24 points or whatever, 23 points, then Chaos Space Marine 30 points.
Yeah. And that was something that I had to do for a lot of lists, and it's just time, which was unfortunate. I think I spent probably about 14 hours roughly adjusting all the lists. A surprisingly long amount of time. But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I know a lot of events sort of punish for that sort of stuff. Like if your list is wrong, you get a negative modifier. This event was pretty laid back. We kept it really casual, being our first event, so we didn't really hammer down on any of that sort of stuff. But in the future, I would certainly like to see players pay a bit more attention to that.
Having said that, I did see you go around checking lists during the day, doing kind of like spot checks.
That's a little bit. It's just due diligence, I think. I didn't count anyone's cards, which I think I might have should have. But no, I think top table. I think I went through the top 5 tables, went through every list, and just got the players to point out their models to make sure everything was WYSIWYG and they were actually playing what was in their list.
I think that's good. I like it. I mean, if you look at other competitive games, Warhammer, when we say competitive game, it is a game that you're playing competitively.
It's a game you're trying to win.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like any kind. You could say the same about Monopoly.
Yeah.
But games like Magic the Gathering, they do that. Like if you go to even a very casual tournament, they'll count your deck. They'll
absolutely.
Check it.
Deck checking. I've done lots of deck checking for Magic events in the past. So it's not like an unfamiliar concept. It's something that's ingrained in a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, you don't see it often because it's only really relevant in scenarios where a player has the capacity to not necessarily cheat, but make a mistake. You can't make mistakes in like a computer game because there's no option for that.
Yeah, but in a game where there's always human.
But that's one of the things.
Error.
That's one of the things I love about 40k. That's why I play 40k, for the human interaction. But we've got to sort of take the good with the bad and work with the vulnerabilities of the system.
It definitely has happened before. I've seen at Arcanicon maybe 7 or 8 years ago. A guy was using an extra squad of 20 boys in a battle wagon, and the reason he was using it was he just had it in his foam tray. He brought his foam tray and he just assumed that it was like that.
I think,
and he made a mistake, genuine mistake. That happens. Like stuff can happen. So.
It's also not uncommon for I've actually seen this quite a few times in the past where a player's had their friends submit their list for them and then they've rocked up on the day and pulled out the wrong models. And I've actually seen it a few times now, which is interesting. So,
Yeah. I think it's just what
was the question? Sorry,
I was just about the list checking, but...
Yes, there was a lot.
The little comment I was going to make just to follow that up is that if people have the expectation that they might be held accountable, it's not that they ever had the wrong intention, it's just that they'll say, if I get checked and I get docked a couple of points, maybe I'll just spend that extra 10 minutes checking everything. And while it might cost them 10 minutes, at least it makes sure the integrity of the tournament.
I think it's about mutual respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, the players have an expectation of the TO. The TO needs to have expectations of the players. When I play an opponent as a competitor, I have expectations of him, and he has the same expectations of me.
Well, it's like you look at the top level of sport. Like, it happens at the top level.
Yeah.
Like, you look at what happened with Sharapova. She claimed, let's not
Sure.
too much, but she was taking a drug, an illegal drug that was legal for 10 years. She was taking it at the Australian Open 10 days or something after the year started. She got done for it. You can't prove the intent, but it's not the intent, it's the fact that due diligence.
Unfortunately, as you say, unfortunately, it's not about intent, because intent's irrelevant, because the end result's the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she's
she's
a better athlete because of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but I'm pretty sure that it was a very serious
breach
situation. Yeah.
Same thing with Essendon as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Caine.
Yeah.
So how was the gaming side of the event? Like the style of lists that showed up, like the combinations in them, the comp scores, like the spread of the comp scores, and what sort of action?
We saw a really healthy spread of comp scores. I put up quite a few graphs in the lead up to the event, and there was a really great spread. I think we had 2 people with 0s, and there was 3 8s, 8 being the max. And the majority of players fell in at 4, and the second highest category was 5. So players really sort of they gravitate towards that middle range, which is good. I saw some really creative lists, and it's really I get excited when I see people being creative at in obscure events. 1350 is not your most standard format.
No.
And so when you see what people are able to do with that and some of the things they come up with, there were people who legitimately did things I did not think they could do. Some guy squeezed a battle company in. I was very impressed.
Talk about him later.
We'll get to him soon.
What about Will Summers' list?
That was one of my favourites.
Yeah,
him and Jonathan Louis. They were both two really.
Oh, you gave them credit. Yeah, true.
Yeah, they were really obscure lists. So for those who weren't at the event, Will Summers ran a
Iron Wolf Company.
Thank you, Iron Wolf Company, which gives you free upgrades on your vehicles. So every vehicle you can just give it max upgrades, which really opens the door to a lot of stuff.
I believe, was it 9 or 9? 8 land speeder Typhoons with assault.
No, 8 land speeders.
8 land
speeders. The Typhoon is free.
Oh yeah. So 8 land speeders with free Typhoon missiles and assault cannon upgrades.
So that's about 60 points or something of upgrades.
It's 50 points for 2, so it was 250 odd points worth of.
Plus the assault cannon as well.
Plus the assault cannon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Definitely.
That becomes better, obviously, because again the small points format. Because we're playing at 1350, when you get that 300 points of free war gear, it's a massive. It's
it definitely is something.
It's a much bigger multiplier than it is at 1850.
Oh, it's huge. And that's the same with the battle company as well.
Exactly. Yes. That was another.
Yeah.
Really
Any other lists? Kind of interesting things.
Yeah, Jonathan Liu. So he ran. I think it was about 75 to 85 warriors.
I think it was I think it was 9 units. I think it was 6 and 3.
It was about 50, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
so I think it was 6 and 3.
Sorry, only 50 fire warriors.
Yeah.
So only 250 strength 5 shots.
All had SMS turrets.
With ethereal.
Plus SMS, plus an ethereal.
Double ethereal.
2 ethereals, correct.
And to top it all off, you had a storm surge just to back it all up.
Yep. That's an interesting choice. Obviously, he ran the Storm Surge without the markers. So that's an interesting play. We haven't seen that done yet, and I think it obviously went pretty well from him.
I think he rated
quite
I spoke to
high.
him afterwards. He said that he didn't feel like it pulled its weight. He didn't feel like it was worth 5 comp, but he also won a lot of games. So it's one of those situations where you have to.
Well, it would still earn its points because it would still draw a lot of fire away from
Exactly.
fire warriors. It's still a threat on the table. It's moving forward.
Exactly.
It's got stomps. It's got lots of shots. It's got a lot of things that it does. And a lot of people will panic when it starts to come forward and rather shooting fire warriors, shoot that sometimes. So.
Well, he said he won a game. I think he played. Sino, and I think he's managed to beat Sino without losing a model. And he kind of told me that, and I kind of said to him, Storm Surge. Because obviously, without no discredit to Sino at all, it makes Sino sound bad. But obviously, Sino was trying to kill the Storm Surge, and got unlucky. John said he rolled a ton of FNPs and stuff. So Sino's taken a risk, a gamble, didn't pay off.
So I believe you had a
sounds very unlucky on Sino's part. Because the majority of his drones were grab, which we know is really good against gargantuan MCs. So.
Yeah, definitely probably should have
I
killed
know
the
that. That's pretty.
Oh, it's funny, but
anyway.
it doesn't help his cause of getting that Storm Surge down comped.
Look, overall, I thought the lists were really varied. We saw some really polarizing lists on the edge of the bell curve, but the majority of us sort of fell in the middle. and some really like very vanilla stuff there. Some very like thematic armies.
there are
Quite a really good.
Yeah, vanilla Eldar.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
forth. So.
Like even some of the more thematic armies we saw, like Khorne Demonkin, a scout sniper army with all these scouts in it.
Yeah, Ryan Littler's was a rather interesting one, full of scouts.
I think he caught a lot of people off guard with that, but we'll get to him soon as well.
Alright guys, well what we might do is wrap up that first part of the questionnaire. Me and Caine still have some questions to go, but we'll put that in part 2 of the video, so stay tuned for part 2 after this. Cheers.
Cheers.